Hey, welcome to Cheaper Jeeper TV. On this week's episode, we're going to be doing a tire plug repair challenge, so stick around. Hey, welcome to Cheaper Jeeper TV, the show that helps you get the most for your money so that you get the most for your Jeep. In this video, Dieter reached out to me and offered a challenge on how to repair the tire with a tire plug repair kit. Let's talk to Dieter. I'm here with Dieter, and you might remember him from the video on using a high lift jack and traction mats. It's very interesting. I'll have a link to it in the description section and you can check it out later. Now we're going to talk to Dieter about this challenge that he made about changing a tire plug in a tire. Dieter, why did you challenge me on doing that? Why is that so important?
Hi Dino, glad to be here. The important thing is when you do outdoors, off-roading outdoors, you quite often have no cell phone reception, so you cannot call for help. You may be in the mud, in the rain, in the hot sun, it may be dark, anything. So you have to be able to recover out of the situation you are in. So if you have a simple flat, whatever the reason, it may be a nail, you have to be able to just fix it so you can keep on going and make sure that you still have your spare tire intact if things get worse. And quite often they do get worse when you're in the outdoors. So I challenged Dino to repair a hole in the tire, because when I did it, it took me 2 hours to do that. And that's the same job you get done by the service guys in about 5 minutes for $20, I think. It's quite an interesting process, and let's see how Dino is going to perform on that.
Okay, so I gather it's an important thing to know how to do, and there's possibly some tips and tricks to help you do it so that when you're out in the field that you can do it without too much problem.
Yes, we had actually 2 incidences. One was the flat tire. It was beyond repair, but that's a different story. And we also had another incident in the middle of nowhere, 400 kilometers away from civilization. And we had to sort of go through all our recovery equipment, which is very, very important as well for a simple tire repair. So we'll list all the items we use and have, and which are very simple and easy to purchase or carry in your Jeep.
Excellent. Now, just before we get started with the repair, I just want you to know that I'll have a link to Dieter's website, to all of his travels, and you can see on his website all of his tips and tricks and experiences that he's had on the road to Newfoundland and beyond. Okay, let's get started.
Absolutely.
So now we can see the various scenarios on why it would be important to know how to do it. So let's take a look at what's behind the repair.
In order to make it a real challenge, what we need is a tire and a hole in the tire, and eventually all the parts and pieces we're going to need. So the first thing is a tire. This is an almost perfectly good tire. What's missing here is a hole. So we have a hammer and we have a choice of nails. Now, one thing, when I did my own test, it was interesting to see that actually putting a hole in a tire, it's not that simple. The other thing is I have to change my glasses because the tire is under pressure. So everything I do from here on, I will make sure I have my safety glasses. Very important. It is actually, once you get into air, you let the air out and do all these things. There is parts that may fly around. So here we go. I'm pretty much ready. So the first thing is we get a hole in here. So this is a perfectly fine hole. And now let's start with the repair. Dino, now it's up to you.
Definitely, there's lots of tools you'll need when you're off-road doing some repairs, and depending on your situation, the type of jack you use and any kind of supports under your jack will be dictated by the situation you're in. I'll have a link to Dieter's website where he goes into that in detail, but as we move over here to the left, you can see these are the tools we're going to need to do the tire plug repair challenge. Now, of course, you can see the Smittybilt high capacity air compressor, which will be used to reinflate the tire. And then we have the tools that we require to do the tire plug repair. So you can see there's the reamer tool in the top left, followed by the plug insertion tool, and then that tube of rubber cement is used to help bond the rubber plug, and then some soap to help locate where the hole is, a marking pencil to help mark where the hole is, and then in that little case are the plugs that we're going to use, and then to the left of that are some tools that we're going to use to pull out the offending piece of nail or screw or whatever the item is. And then of course up on the left we have some heavy duty gloves that are going to be used, and protect your hands when you're using the reamer tool and the insertion tool. Now, just a reminder, in the context of this video, I'm promoting the use of these plugs as a way to get off the trail so that you can get yourself home. I know a lot of YouTubers out there that are more experienced with these things than me say the plugs are great and they have had no problems. Project Farm showed that the plugs held up well in his test, but there are people that say a true repair would involve a patch on the inside that can be done at a tire shop. That's up to you. I just wanted to make sure that you'd be prepared when you're out on the trail. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just walk through the process first, and then I'm going to actually do it, and then we'll see about this challenge. I'm thinking it might be a little tricky or Dieter wouldn't have asked me. Okay, for starters, we can see the offending piece right here, the nail in the tire, and so I'm going to need to pull this out. Now, a lot of times you might not be able to see the leak and you might have trouble finding the leak. That's why it'll be important to have a little bit of some soapy water so that you can apply it to the tire to locate the leak. And then once you find the leak, like I know the source of the leak here is the nail, you need a marking pencil. And that's what Dieter's holding up right now. And I'll mark the area. Whether I found it with the soap or that I could see the nail, I'll mark the area because once I pull the nail out, it might be difficult to see the hole. So then, because I know I have the nail here, I'll use my tools I have on hand, like the pliers and the wrench, to pull the nail. I'll use the marking pencil to mark it. And then, as I pull the nail, I'm going to use my rasping tool and have it ready to insert into the hole to stop the leak of air. And then while I've done that, that gives me time so I could put a rubber plug in the insertion tool, and then I will work on getting that into the hole. And once that's in there, I'll just trim it using an X-Acto knife. But I'm also going to add a step because these plugs that come with this kit already have their adhesive already on it. A lot of the plugs that come with kits already do. But some also provide like a rubber cement, and that'll help vulcanize the rubber to the tire, but it also provides a little bit of lubricant because I understand it's a little bit difficult. So let's now get started with the process and we'll see how it goes. Okay, with that understanding, let's see how it's done. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I don't need to use the soap, so maybe I'll have the marking pen and mark where the nail is. Thank you. Thank you, Dieter. So now I'm ready to pull out the nail. Okay. So I can hear the small leak. It is right in this area, so I'll take the rasping tool and then put it in the hole. Okay, I'll use the gloves because it helps protect your hand. Gives it a bit of padding, but also should your tool break, you got protection. So now what I'm doing is I'm just spinning the rasping tool here because it's helping prepare the hole so that it could receive the plug. It needs to be roughed up a little bit and widened a little bit so that the plug will fit. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about the size of the hole right now, so I'm going to prepare the rubber plug in the insertion tool. So it's very sticky. And the trick about getting it in the insertion tool is that you'll have to pinch the end that you're going to start with between your fingers so that you can fit it into the slot. Then just work it up and down as you're pushing it through. and you try to pull it through so that it's about halfway into the plug. Now we're going to take our rubber cement. Depending on how old it is, you may want to just squish the tube a little bit to get your product nice and even. So if it's a new tube, you need to use the lid to put a hole into it. Now you're ready to use it. Apply some glue to the tip, and then down both sides of the rubber plug, because it's going to help vulcanize the rubber, but it'll also serve as a bit of a lubricant. And now I am ready. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out the reaming tool and insert the rubber plug. I'm just going to set that on the camera. Can you hold this for a sec? Absolutely. Okay. You can see it slowly going in. Okay, so I've got it in. It's a bit of work. And now the trick is to very quickly pull the insertion tool back so that it leaves the plug. There's the insertion tool. There's the plug. And the last step of the process is to use an X-Acto knife or a Dieter knife and cut off the excess rubber left from the plug. Now some people will leave it there and let it just wear out. Other people say it may contribute to causing a leak. Since we have a knife, we'll just trim it. So it's nice that this plug is orange so that you can see it. A lot of kits come with the rubber plugs being black, but that's pretty much it. I don't hear any more hissing. I have my air compressor, so now it's time to bring the tire back up to pressure and see if it maintains the pressure. Okay, so we've aired up the tire. It's holding the pressure, so I'm pretty happy about that. I should thank Dieter for giving me this opportunity to learn how to do this, because I learned that you really have to do a good job at reaming the hole so that you can get that plug to fit in. Both of those steps are a little bit tedious, so if you're prepared for it, it'll go a lot smoother. You don't want to learn those things when you're out there in the field and scared or frustrated because you don't know if you're going to be able to get yourself out or not. So being aware of the steps involved and the little tricks to make sure it goes smoothly is important. And thanks to Dieter, I understand that. Dieter, do you have any comments you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yes, I do. If you're out there, you have a tire full of mud, it rains, you have mosquitoes, black flies, it may be cold in winter. I mean, the list goes on with what you can, well, encounter while you're there. Be ready for all these situations. Some of these things are very simple to do, and one of the things, you probably noticed the tarp here, make sure you have a surface where you put all your pieces. If you have a tool, I mean, all these things, if they're just scattered around, it is very hard to find them in the dirt. How do you sort of pick them up? They may be sort of in the wilderness afterwards, and you have to buy a new one. Make sure you have a tarp. You can work on here and everything stays clean. Anyway, that's pretty much it I can add to this one for now.
Now, Dieter's list of things to keep in mind is on his website, and I'll have a link to that article in the description section of this video.
Thank you, Dino.
Thank you, Dieter.
I had an absolute blast watching you to do the work.
Well, okay, that's how it's done. There's a few little tips and tricks along the way. I hope that you found it helpful. But now, what if you wanted to have a kit so that you would be prepared if you were faced with the situation of needing to repair a small leak in your tire? Well, let's have a look in our tip segment where I'll review some different types of kits that would meet your needs. Now for some cheaper Jeeper tips. Now, of course, there are different kits of various prices, and you can get the really high-end ones that will cost you over $40 and be all set up with a really nice big kit. But some of you may not want to do that. You may want to have a less expensive kit. And I would say having a less expensive kit is better than having no kit at all. Now, I did look at Project Farms, a YouTuber who reviewed a few different kits, and he did find with the various kits that he tested, they were all pretty reasonable in terms of their function. The Slime brand is one that he tested, and you can see here it's available online, but also you might find reasonably priced ones at Canadian Tire, Princess Auto, or in the US they have Harbor Freight. So between all those options, I'm sure you'll find a kit that is right for you. So I hope that you found that helpful, but what also is very helpful are comments from our subscribers, so let's have a look. And now for subscribers tips. This week's subscriber tip comes from the Bouge RV rechargeable lithium battery video, where I did an unboxing, a review, and I demonstrated how that battery could power a coffee drip machine. Hey Cheaper Jeeper TV, maybe you should look into a DC coffee maker because it would probably use less energy, and also you would not lose the energy from the AC inverter. It could be a permanent addition to your travel trailer. Take care and happy camping. Signed, Greg. Hey Greg, thank you very much for that tip. That's an excellent idea. I really don't know anything about them. So if any of you out there have a brand that you'd like to recommend, please leave that message in the comments section below. And if any of you also have subscriber tips that you'd like to share, please do the same, as they may make it in a future episode. Thank you very much. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Cheaper Jeeper TV. I hope that you found it interesting. If you did, how about giving the video a thumbs up? And if you're new to the channel, feel free to click the subscribe button and the alert bell so you don't miss the next episode. Until then, I'm Dino for Cheaper Jeeper TV. Be well, stay safe, take care.